Why would anyone in their right mind attend a school reunion? Let the past be the past, I say.
Yeah, it's a laugh, innit?
But a message from Simon saying he can't make it.
Well, Jess will do it.
No, she will not.
Jess, seriously, live it up a little, will ya? It's just a game of paintball. It'll be fun.
Get off me!
Okay, listen, here's the plan. Rob, you push forward to that next set of blue barrels. What you doing? Get down!
They're not firing back.
Jess, it's a trap. It's not safe here. We need to leave now.
It is. Is this Joe?
Yes, it's Joe speaking.
The owner of Hallett Realty.
Hallett Homes, yes.
I cracked up when I saw that, Joe. I just got the biggest kick out of that.
I love it. It was one of those things, we were low budget, so we couldn't afford to have any product placement, and we needed a for sale sign, so I thought, why not put my name on it? And you're the first person to really mention it, which is fantastic. It was fantastic.
Well, and of course, with that realty sign, the house for sale, you really staked your claim on this film.
Thank you. I tried to it with a little bit of a dignity, not too much in your face, but yes.
I got to tell you, Joe, I had so much fun watching this film. I didn't know what to expect, and it starts off, of course, a high school reunion, and it's like the most dreaded thing in the universe for everyone.
Yes, of course. Scary enough. Yeah, it's a weird one. In England, we're still behind America, I think, with the reunions. We don't have as many, but we do have them. And but yeah, it's daunting, isn't it? I never want to go to mine. I hate school.
Watching the characters, the reluctance of some, the others that are trying to put on airs, it's the same crap you saw in high school.
It is, and that was one thing. When we had our table read, it was a week before the actually rolled cameras, and when we actually had all the actors around the table and we started reading off the lines, it gave me goosebumps because everyone was coming to life for their characters, and you could really see from the end product, you can really believe they went to school together.
Oh, God, yeah.
He said some hate each other, some are trying to put on an act, and it is what it is at school, and it really works well. And all the characters, I think only one of them knew each other before filming. Everyone else we just met on the first day of shooting.
Well, and that would explain mistreatment of each other in high school. It's like, well, you ignored me. You never talked to me. You didn't notice me. And the dialogue is so fresh and natural.
I have to thank our amazing writer, Chris Regan. Chris we gave him the original idea of the school reunion going paintballing. They get killed in the way they work. We gave him the idea of each character, what their job was. And he just took that idea and rolled with it and just made some amazing characters out of it. And the lines, it's the horror, but also has the element of the comedy. And there's certain lines he just puts
there's a lot of the dialogue. Chris did a great job with making, there's a lot that we've got double entendres, a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff that, and everybody performs and delivers it so well. The comedic timing in here is really good. This is not, and I know it's not a quote-unquote comedy, but the humor comes from the very nature of the high school playground kind of antics that they're still carrying on about years later.
Yeah. I love the line with Natasha, who plays Lauren, and Cheryl's in the forest, Jessica, and they pick her up, and Tommy says to her, tell your friend to back off. And Lauren's line of, that's for stitching me up at high school, smoking behind the small block. And it's just hilarious bringing up things like that years and years after. And yeah, it was really, really fun.
On so many levels, it's delicious, but you go beyond the story and a whole idea of paintball, which, okay, if there's anything that could possibly be worse than a high school reunion with people you didn't like, it's going to play paintball with them the next day.
Yes.
And being out there in the woods, and you got to wear those ugly, ill-fitting jumpsuits. So it's like, oh my God, this goes from bad to worse, which is where a lot of the comedy comes in here. So structurally, it's fabulous. But then when we get into the actual paintball battles, which turns into a massacre, I have to say that what Darren did, you as a producer, having the foresight to understand the importance of this, I look at these kills, I look at these situations, and you went with practical in-camera work. You did not CGI the hell out of this thing.
No. It's too easy these days with the technology at our fingertips to just go CGI. And myself and the team, we straight away said we want practical effects. And yes, as a low-budget film, that's a nightmare because time is money. And we were filming in September to October, and we're losing light really rapidly every day. And we had to start really early in the morning. We were getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning when it's pitch black and there's a abandoned quarry. We're all freezing. We're all putting our car lights on to see where we are. And, you know, when the light came up, we got the cameras rolling, and we'll be finishing around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. We were lucky. So we had to really work hard. And the makeup team, head of makeup, Lisa Want, was phenomenal. And what they did with what they had at hand was fantastic. And with the explosion, we brought a top team. They actually live very close to me, but they're the same exclusive team that do Star Wars, the Kingsman, the big budget films. They live very close to us, and they were able to kind of do the explosion for us. Again, it's easy just to go, oh, we just put a little visual effect there. It doesn't look the same, and the audience see through that. We wanted them to feel engrossed in the film. We didn't want them to come away from the storyline. And if you put CGI on, you then go, oh, that doesn't look so good, and it doesn't feel real. And that's what we wanted to have that feeling. So thank you so much for praising that up, because I'm glad it's happened the way we wanted it to.
Well, it certainly did, and I have to a huge applause for Lisa with the makeup work and the special effects makeup team with all the blood placement and whatnot. Very consistent. I always look for things like that in films, Joe, as to what, is there consistency? Because obviously you can't shoot all of a scene. 9 times out of 10, you can't shoot a complete scene in one day, and you've got to, match it up for continuity the next day. And I have to say, your blood placement, especially on the character of Jessica, on Cheryl Burns, because she's got a lot coming down her face, and also on I'm trying to think which other one. I think it was on Lauren.
Lauren Bryce. Yeah, she was covered in it. She was close to the explosion,
she was
yeah.
covered, and there were a lot of damage, at the top of her head with hair. But even to hysterical Marshall Shelley with her guts all over. I gotta tell you, that was just that was great.
It was, again, we were a very, very low budget film. We were working on about £100,000 as the end budget. So, but we wanted to put the money where it was needed in the film. So we had a script supervisor in Jodie Woodall who did a fantastic job with the continuity to ensure we had the blood where we wanted it. The makeup team were taking the photos every day, logging it. So we made sure that we had it as close as we could. And some of the scenes we actually shot a year later.
Wow.
So I got the stills of the film, and we just made sure as close as we can, because I'm the same as you. When I watch a film and I go, oh God, he just fell down, his back, it should be dirty, and his bright is clean. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that looks bad. You need to make sure as best you can. Yes, there's issues, certain things happen, but we did our best. And I'm told for that. It's, fantastic. The team, it wasn't just one person, it was everyone involved.
Yeah, no, just absolute, all those little details. That's the quickest way to, number one, show that you had no money. And it's like, well, we didn't have money, so we weren't paying attention. It didn't really matter. And it's also the quickest way to take your audience out of the film when things, because as you well know, quite often, mistakes like that can be glaring.
Oh, yes. Sometimes in the biggest films I've watched, I'm like, oh my God,
yes.
It just takes some time to get that right. Yes.
But you guys, an amazing, amazing job. I'm curious, for you as a producer, you're wearing your producer's hat at all times, but then you have your actor's hat. And I have to say, the ambiguity that Chris creates with this script, I'm watching, it's like, okay, I know it's Aiden. He's knocking everybody off. He's an ass. He's knocking everybody off.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, it's not Aiden. But here you are wearing your producer's hat. You have people all over the place. This is not a small ensemble. This is a fairly decent size ensemble. And you're acting. How were you within yourself, Joe, able to juggle this?
I honestly, I always explain to people the experience was an emotional roller coaster. I've worked on low budget films as an actor, as a stuntman. I've done the biggest films, like I did a film called Fury with Brad Pitt. So I've done some big stuff as well, and I've worked behind the scenes in short films. So I learned the craft. I knew what had to be done, but I've never produced anything to that scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on a film that fell through. I worked on it for a year, and the money never came through. So I was very frustrated. I was like, I've got all these resources at my fingertips. I've got the skills, but I'm doing nothing with them. And I just went, I want to make a film. So I just took that risk, took that leap, and went for it. And with my martial arts background, and I run martial art tournaments, and then event organising, I feel film is like a large event. It's just a logistic large event. But you've just got to get your ducks in a row, line everything up. And I will say now, I made mistakes on my first production. There were things I did. I think, but you learn from the mistakes. I'm very excited about the next production. But it was stressful, and I was a producer and an actor, and when I was acting, I was still doing producer work. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a case of I can't focus on producing, I must focus on the acting. I would do my line, I would do my scene, and then I would rush off to get this, get something for the next scene for props, or I had to get some equipment organised, or I had to go and pick up an actor, and you just roll with the punches. I think there was at least 2 days I went with no sleep.
Wow.
Now that's not something I would recommend, because I was on set comatose. Even my scene where my eyes, I'm gouged out, let me find my body. That was one of the hard days because I was blinded. and I couldn't see. And at one point, I just fell asleep. Literally, my eyes were closed. I just started snoring. And everyone was like, "Who's snoring?" I'm like, "It's Joe." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, guys." But it was just, I enjoyed the experience. I can't wait to do the next one. But yeah, it was a tough, and the idea was to start off, say, 2 weeks of all the actors, then kill them off, and then by the last 2 weeks only have a minimal cast.
Right.
That never happened. The schedule just kept changing, and by the end of the shoot, we had all the actors still with us. So the budget started rising. Obviously, I had my executive producer going, "You want more money? Why do you need more money?" I'm like, "Because we've got to pay for hotels that we were meant to not have needed, but we do now because the schedule's changed." And, you know, you deal with the business side of things as well as making sure everything happens on the set. And yeah, I don't think it's for the faint-hearted. And it is a tough task. And that was one reason why I only took a minor role. I actually was initially going to play Ben Hayes, who's played by Nathan Clough, who does an amazing job. I was going to be the estate agent. But I'm glad. It was about 2 weeks before filming, we decided to switch our roles round. And that was great because I hashed my days of acting. I went from 12 days to 6.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was so good because that meant I could take more energy on my producer duties, and it gave Nathan, who's a fantastic actor, just a lot more screen time, and it was probably one of the best decisions made. So yeah, overall it was crazy time. It was a 4-week shoot, and we only shot Monday to Friday. So we had weekends off. We should have shot Saturdays on hindsight, but you learn. But yeah, we got it in 20 days, the principal shot, and then we did 2 days of pickups the following year.
And that's not too bad to just have 2 days of pickups.
No, it was very creative what we did with the pickups. You wouldn't notice which ones were filmed by me and my team, but they were just clever ones that we could fit in, that we were able to let the story carry on, because there were a few plot holes you had to fill in. And we were able to do that with some clever trickery with the camera and certain things we did.
One of the advantages that Paintball Massacre has is having you as a producer because of your business acumen. I mean, you've been running your own martial arts training academy since what? 2007. You know how to run a business. You know how to put on events. Those two intertwine. And as you said, a film set, it's essentially a big event.
You line up your job, everyone does their job, and you make sure they're doing their job, and you give them the money to do their job, and then you just check out they're doing their job, and then organise the schedule, and just, it isn't a logistic nightmare when you get in, like, you've got an actor that says, "I can't do that day," but you need them that day. And, there was an issue with Ian Fergo, who plays the killer. He was actually initially going to play Matt Wilson, who plays Ryan, played by Ryan Winsley. But Ian, I think it was 3 weeks before filming, rang us and said, "I can't do the first week because I've got to go to New York and do a big singing gig." And I was like, "I can't reschedule those days because those are the days with Katie Brown." And Katie, being one of our large actresses, costs quite a lot of money. So I ended up saying, "Well, Ian, you can't play Matt now." And he said, "Well, I want to be part of the film." I said, "Well, the only role we've got left is the killer." But I said, "You have no dialogue, and you're wearing a mask." And I thought he'd say no. And he went, "I'm up for that." And I was like, wow. And he really took, he took the role of the killer. He did certain hand gestures and a certain way that he made a character with that killer, which I love.
Throw us off balance in here. We won't give away any spoilers, but you really throw us off balance. And again, kudos to Chris with his script, because it's like there is so much ambiguity here. And one minute you're thinking, okay, this one is going to be the killer. And once I ruled you out, once I ruled Aiden out, then I'm going with Simon. I'm dead on that it's got to be. It's got to be Simon because he didn't show up at the last minute, and he has the money and the means to pull off something like this. And the fact you've got Jessica mealy-mouthing around, and then all of a sudden she's not afraid, and it's like, But you guys throw us for another loop. You really, you keep the audience on their toes watching this film. And what I love about this film, Joe, is number one, we're outside for the bulk of it, which is a pain in the butt for for Darren. You've got to worry about Mother Nature. You've got the logistics of being in this forestry area. And that presents inherent insurance dangers in and of itself.
Well, it was an abandoned quarry. It had no running water, no running electric. So we had to bring toilets in, we had to bring our generators in, we had to bring everything in ourselves, which obviously brings up the budget. And it was in the winter as well, so we were freezing, But yeah, insurance-wise, if some of the actors, they stepped to the left, they would have fallen down the quarry.
Yeah.
So we had to make sure everyone was knowing what they were doing, everyone's safe.
I noticed everyone had good footwear.
Oh yes,
that's another.
I
those are the kind of strange things that I always look for in a film like this, because I know what can happen. So, and I'm looking at whatever everybody's footwear, and it's like, okay, this is all sturdy footwear. Part of the budget went for footwear.
Well, the thing is, they all knew they were going paintballing. The only person who didn't was Jess.
Mm-hmm.
So they all should have, realistically, you're watching it as an audience, you'll go, well, they should have.
Yeah, they should.
That's suitable for paintballing, which they all had. And the Jess has, she wears boots, but someone gave in the story, obviously, they would have had boots given to them by the marshals. But like you said, they have to look the part. And the overalls, we thought costume, we're going to save loads on costume because we're going to just have them in overalls. Oh, that wasn't the case because we had to have 3 or 4 overalls each person because they had different blood on them at different times. So we had the hotel room looked like a horror movie because you just had all these overalls hanged up with their names on with different blood on. And they had all, it was a tough task to ensure it was continuity was right, but it paid off in the end.
Oh, absolutely. But the one thing that you didn't have to worry about, the paintballing is not taking place at night. And
no,
this is
no, we couldn't do that.
And I love the fact, and we don't see it enough, when horror films, horror elements, generally everybody puts it in dark houses, at night, in the woods, there's no light, there's no moon, there's no nothing. I'm one of these people that when you have a horror film and somebody's walking in a dark room and you hear something, turn on the damn light. Please, turn on the light. Yeah. And nobody ever does that.
What do you do when you're going into a room and you think there's a killer? You're not going to keep it darkness. You're going to turn the light on.
Yeah.
And the thing is with us, that was one thing I was very, very set on when we were looking at the grade. I said to my editor, I do not want to go too dark. I also do not want to go too stylistic. I said, because this is it's real, it's happening in real life. So, and it's daylight. You're not gonna, we're not gonna have it to be darkness. And I think that's what keeps a little bit of the comedy element, because no one's really scared in the dark, in the light.
Right.
Everyone's scared in the dark. So we have those moments when they go into the bunker, and you've got Nathan who goes, I'm scared of the dark, and they go into this room, and because you have to have that element. But most of it was all outside. And like you said, we had issues with the sun. There is 2 scenes in it where they're back to back, and it frustrates me, but there's only thing we could do. The first day we shot was in beautiful sunlight, it was lovely and sunny. And then the next scene that goes straight after, it was raining, and we had to shoot it in the forest, and it was very dark, and it basically happened at the same time, and I'm like, oh, it's so annoying that they had to be back to back in the film, but they are. But you don't notice, because the one of them are in the forest, the other ones are outside in the open space. But again, what do? You don't own the sun, you can't turn it off when you want, so we just got to play with the punches, really, roll with it.
But yeah, I love the fact that it's not at night, it's not in the dark, and we are all outside and everybody has their eyes wide open, so their minds are actually thinking. Because when you stop and you think about a lot of horror films and and everybody's in the dark, they're in the dark more than just physically. They're not thinking either. Here, your characters are reasoning things out to a large degree. And I really appreciate that. We don't have a bunch of idiots out there. Okay, they may be stuck in their high school year idiocy, but they're not idiots, and they start thinking. And I really believe the fact that this is metaphorically, they're in the light. The light bulbs are on, and somebody's actually home upstairs thinking.
Yeah, we got that Sarah. I love Sarah's character because she, played by Aoife Smythe. Aoife just did a phenomenal job, and you had the funny moments of obviously her comparing everything to Fast and Furious.
Yes.
And but then she sits on that rock and talks to Tommy, and she's basically explaining why this guy's doing it, and her thought is it's Carl. We all treated him horrible at school, and I made a cross for him the other day, and there's a bloody cross over that hill. This is too much of a coincidence. And they start to think, and they start to try and put two to two together, but then the ending was so hard to do because I was really wanting to show a face for a killer, but then I was told if you show a different face that no one's seen, they're not going to understand it.
Right.
But we want to leave it open because potentially there is a trilogy idea we have.
Well, I was going to say this is wide open for a sequel, and
we have got a sequel idea,
and it's a sequel I would love to see because there's so much you can do with the killer and then another character without saying who it is. There's so much you can do there.
Well, when he takes that mask off and he drops it, was kind of nicking the scene from Strangers, the house invasion film.
Yep.
But the waves, what that does is it indicates to all the audience just knows that person, and there's only two people that it could have been. Is it Simon or is it Carl? And you don't know. And then he lets Jess survive. Why is he letting Jess survive? And this sequel, we've got an idea. I'm not going to spoil it for you. If the sales go well and everyone roots this film, which I hope they do, because we've put so much blood and sweat and tears in it. If the film goes really well, I'd love to bring this film back as a sequel.
Oh God!
And play out the idea that we have. Chris is very keen to follow on the story as well, so we just have to wait and see.
Oh, I mean, I'm all in for a sequel on this one. I think it would be spectacular because either one of the two potential killers, Jess had nothing, neither one had anything against Jessica. She had nothing against them. So this story could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And who knows, not everybody could have met their full demise.
Well, that's another thing. Obviously, there's one character that we know is buried alive, but we've seen it already, Kill Bill. The bride rises from the mud.
Yes.
So there is a potential there. We leave the character of Nathan, who's lying there stabbed, burnt half face, but it doesn't mean he's dead.
Right.
And also we have Aoife, Sarah's character on the cross that's left. We don't know, is she dead? Is Jess left her for dead, or is she actually... is she surviving? So there are a few characters there we could bring back.
Absolutely.
There's so many chances what we could do with it.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I think this is wide open, and this film. It is fun. It's engaging, and I just think it would be fabulous for a sequel. But this now begs the question, because I know you finished this near the end of last year. And just when you would have been hitting the fest circuit, everybody goes on lockdown and COVID just screws us all over. So how has this impacted your releasing schedule and your platforming now?
So initially, my plan was always to do a limited cinema release in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get into the cinemas in the UK. Obviously, after we finished the film, we then spoke to distributors, and then COVID hit, and I was like, well, cinemas are out of the question.
Right.
Because cinema releases cost money for the distributor, and you've got to get bundles on the seats for you to pay it, make it work. And obviously we've seen Bond, we've seen Tenet, we've seen all these films get pushed back, we've seen Mulan go straight to Disney Plus. You know, so an independent film was just no-brainer. We just couldn't touch cinema. So then we're looking at DVD and VOD and digital. I always wanted to have a physical DVD out. I'm sorry, but I'm old school. It's something about going to a shop and picking up that DVD and taking that film off and watching it and having the bonus features. I'm a fan for bonus features as well. So I was like, I want a DVD. So then we were speaking to distributors, and some of them were like, well, we don't really do DVDs now. It costs us more money. And I was like, well, I don't want just digital. I want DVDs. And when I spoke to Keith at Uncork'd, he just loved the film. He literally was the same as you. He watched it. I sent him an email, and within 10 days, we were on with Skype doing the deal, sorting out the distribution. And I loved it, how he loved everything about the film. And that's what was so great. You know, you need a distributor who believes in the vision of the film and wants to sell the film.
Yep.
You know, they don't, you know, that was the key. So then we were looking at, like, this is around July of this year. So I was emailing every distributor under the sun from, like, January up to when we did the deal. And it was because most of them were either furloughed, so they were not allowed to work in the UK, because they were getting paid by the government, or distributors were so worried about what the market was like, they just wasn't taking any new movies. So I was stuck here with a fantastic film that I believed in, and people were like, yeah, not sure we can take it. It's a bit weird market right now. So it really was tough to find someone. And when we found it in Keith at Uncork'd, it was so great. And then it just snowballed from there. We found a UK distributor who were going to be putting it out on DVD and VOD and digital early next year, which is weird. It's a British film, but it's coming out to the States first. You guys get the treat of going out and seeing it in the States before the UK. And then we've got a great sales agent now on board. He's got it for different territories as well. So it was tough. You know, it was really, you know, you put your blood and sweat and tears, your stress and energy in a film, and then you've got something that no one wants to take because of the current climate. And it was worrying, because you've got the executive producers who you owe money to, but you want to make sure they get their money back, and then you want to make sure the actors are nagging me all the time, what's happening? We want to see the film. And I'm like, you just got to be patient. I'm sorry, because we wanted the film out in early 2020, but it just wasn't happening. So happy we were able to hit a 2020 date in 15th of December. I'm so chuffed we got that date, just because we hit it. Because we put out a teaser trailer in January, and it said, coming soon, 2020, and everything was looking great. And then, obviously, what happened? So that was like, oh, God. You know, and we've hit a 2020 date, which is phenomenal. I'm so chuffed. And I just love how the Americans are embracing, because not always our sense of humour comes off well stateside.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, and I think we've just hit the tone right with the humour. I think Chris just did it right, and it's internationally sellable. And but yeah, as a pandemic, it really kicked us in the teeth. It really did. You know, and hopefully, you know, if this goes really well and we can get a sequel, then we would hopefully go for more, hopefully maybe in the cinemas. It'd be fantastic, because we watched the film. We had a little private screening before England got locked down again in London for the actors, and we had the 5.1 surround sound, and it was amazing. The sound design, obviously the score by Patrick Gill, the soundtracks from the music artists, and then the whole mix done by 5A Studios. it was just great. We definitely didn't stinge on the sound. We spent a lot of money on the sound, but that's so crucial because if people switch off from bad editing, bad grade, and bad sound, and we didn't want to do any of that. We want to make sure it was perfect.
Yeah, and I appreciate your sound design in this one because when you're outside, you have a lot more ambient sounds than when you're inside. A lot more distinguishable sounds. The sound of leaves or twigs or branches breaking under a foot or stepping on a landmine. There's a definite click there when you step on a landmine.
Yeah.
We've learned that since World War II films in the 1940s. But you really want that sound because it tells you so much without expositionary dialogue.
Exactly. We had a great mixer called Michael Conrich, who the company is called 5A Studios. They're based in London. They're large. They're one of the best post-production sound houses in the country. They have clients like Gracie Films and they do what's the other one? They do loads of films, loads of documentaries, and they just did a phenomenal job with the sound design. And like you said, sound is neglected. I feel sound's neglected in a lot of films. The score, you watch a film and it's just background music. We want to make sure the score was at the front of this film and it told you the story and it changed. When they're talking about what happened at school, you got a little bit more of the cello coming in. And when the killer, you got the little bit of you got the killer's motif. Every time the killer's around, there's a certain sound, which was made by a waterphone instrument. And like you said, the sound design, just picking up the eyeball and throwing it in the squish and the landmine, and it just everything. It was all the little extra touches, like you said, keeps the audience watching and being engrossed in the film and not going, when the people walk on the floor, you want to hear footsteps.
And what's so great is that things like sticking a hand into bloody, squishy intestines and all, you don't hyper exaggerate the sound.
No.
So
it's real.
It's real.
You overdo it.
I got one last question for you, Joe, before I let you go. This is so much fun talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure. I could chat for ages about it.
Oh, my God.
It's been 4 years of my life. It's great to finally talk about it.
But one last question for you. I got to ask you, what did you learn about yourself as a filmmaker in making Paintball Massacre that you can now take forward into future projects, be it in the selection of them, be it in making those determinations, do I produce, do I direct, do I act, do I wear all three hats? What did you learn about yourself with this one that you'll take forward?
Yeah, I think first of all is that I can do it. Because you doubt yourself. You always doubt yourself to a certain degree. And filmmaking is not easy. To get a film off the ground and make it and then get it distributed, not many people, is a hard task. And it's not for the faint-hearted, like I said. So first of all, I've taught myself I can do it. And I will, I've got the power, the willpower, the determination to do it. I learnt so much about the scheduling of a film and what's involved in post-production. I think so many people don't know, like we just said about sound design, don't know how much else is involved. It's not about roll camera, get it back, chop it up, put it together as a film. So much more involved, which I learned. I do video editing myself, and I thought I was a good video editor until I worked on Paintball Massacre. And I worked closely with my editor. I've learned so much more involved with editing to get it to a standard which is quality checked and broadcast level. So learning all those processes I'm going to take through to the next production. And also meeting some amazing people. There's so many people that I want to work with again. My first AD, Martin Sennett, was phenomenal. Like I said, my editor, he was great. He turned it around so quickly for us. The sound people, everyone, and so many people I want to work with again. But mainly, for me personally, I want to direct. I haven't directed yet, and I want to direct the next one because I feel I've got an eye for what I want. And watching it back, I would have thought, I want want to do, I would have done that differently. I would have done that. No disrespect to Darren. You know, he did a fantastic job doing the direction, but from my perspective, I'm like, my idea, I would have done it differently. And the film came out differently. It came out more comical than horror than we thought. But I think it works well. I think it's very hot fuzz. It's very dog soldiers. But yeah, as moving forward, I would love to direct my next one. I'm actually starting to develop an idea, and I'm going to start writing it along with Chris. And it's going to go into more of the genre I know, so it'll be more of an action thriller film. So you're going to see me do some fighting, because I don't do any martial arts in this. Everyone's shocked when they say, "You made a film, Joe, what is it?" And I go, "It's a horror comedy." They're like, "What? It's not martial arts? Why are you not doing martial arts?" But I think that's been good for me, because it shows that I'm not pigeonholed.
Right.
I'm not stereotyped.
You've got range.
Other things. I want to do a Christmas movie. I want to make a full-blown comedy. You know, I want to stretch my range, but I definitely want to direct the next one. So yeah, so much to look forward to. I'm going to develop, and hopefully I would love to start filming something in 2023. I'm being optimistic. You know, we've got the vaccine coming out now, but any independent film at the time now is very hard to film, because you've got so much more regulations to do, so much more money with the testing and the hygiene and everything. It would be better to take my time. I think that's another thing. Take your time. We rushed to get the film made, and I would now look back and think I should have waited maybe a couple more months, got more preparation involved, because preparation is key. The more you prepare, the easier the shoot will be.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Lovely to chat with you. And it's a pleasure. Like I said, to talk for hours about the film. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
You too. Have a good night.
Stay safe.